How's it going, everybody? Good morning. Happy Saturday. Happy New Year. Hope everybody's still having a good start to their new year. I am Coach Ray. Thank you for joining me for today's stick mobility class. So for today's class, we are going to need two long sticks. So I have one with me here, one back there. I have the squat rack as well. So the squat rack we're actually going to use to get into some Dunphy squats. We're specifically going to use Dunphy squats more so as our warm-up complex. For the strength training today, we got a lot of lower body. So pretty much almost every drill is actually going to be some form of a split squat. The first thing we're going to start off with is going to be a rotational split squat. Then we're going to get into a skater squat as well. The only thing that's not going to be a split squat variation is working with hip abduction. To go for a cool down, we're just going to do a little bit of an extensive cool down, working specifically with rotation. So it's going to be a fun one today. So we're going to take one stick here and have a pad. So you're going to need a pad to kneel on. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to step back. I'm going to start with my right knee down first. And I'm going to have the stick behind my mid back here. Now, one thing I want to make sure we're clear is that that front foot is going to be relatively far forward because we are going to be driving off that front foot to get into a hamstring stretch here. So I'm going to have the stick behind my mid back. Arms are stretched out. Now my back foot, I have a dorsiflex, so I want to keep my toes on the floor here. First thing I'm going to do from this position here is I'm going to rotate towards my front leg. So my left leg is forward, so I'm going to rotate to my left, and then I'm going to hinge to get that front end of the stick down. Now from here, I'm going to pull the stick apart, about 20% tension. You're going to feel that upper back activate. Now from here, I'm going to push off my front leg, straightening that knee out, driving my hips back, still pulling the stick apart. So you're going to get a stretch in that hamstring, but we're also getting rotation. Going to come back forward. Excellent, squeeze that glute. We're still in that rotated position, still pulling the stick apart, and then you're going to drive back off that heel of the front foot. Make sure you're dorsiflexing that ankle. Make sure you're breathing here. Come forward again. Squeeze that right glute. Actively try to split those hips. Let's get two more. Drive off that front leg. Sink those hips back. Excellent. Come back forward one more time. Squeeze that right glute. Excellent. Shift those hips back. And as you're shifting back, you're actually trying to get your torso closer to your femur, so you're not opening up that angle. Come back forward. Excellent. Ease off. Come back to neutral. Now we're going to switch to the other side. So now left knee goes down. Right leg comes forward. And I'll actually show this from the side here, so you can see what that angle looks like. Let me go a little closer, sorry. So from here, right leg is forward. Notice my back foot dorsiflexed on that ankle here. Same thing. Keep it in a nice, good, tall position. I want to rotate towards my front leg. Hinge to place that left end of the stick down. Now from here, same thing. We're going to pull the stick apart. 20%. Get that upper back nice and active here. Push off that front leg. Slight bend on that front knee. Get a nice good hamstring stretch. Excellent. Shift your hips forward. Squeeze your left glute. Excellent. Shift back. Drive off that front foot. Should be getting a nice good hamstring stretch here. Come forward. Squeeze. Shift back. Excellent. One more time. Shift forward. And shift back. Drive off that front leg. Keep pulling that stick apart. Do not lose that tension. Excellent. Squeeze that left glute. Come forward. Excellent. Ease off. Come up. Rotate back to neutral. And relax. Perfect. The first drill to start with Don't need the pad for now. We're gonna kick that over to the side. Now we're gonna work with pelvic tilt, but again, since we're gonna be in a split squat stance later, we're gonna do pelvic tilt in a split squat stance. So we're gonna specifically be focusing on anterior posterior and really making sure we're extending that back hip. So I'm gonna start with my left leg forward, and I'm gonna take not too big of a split, right? You still wanna make sure if you have a good enough split to where you can create tension on that back glute and still make sure you're able to control that pelvis here. So I have my left foot forward, toes are pointed forward here, back heel is nice and high. I want the sticks to be lined up with the arch of my foot here, arms are about roughly shoulder height. Now from here I wanna make sure I load that leg, so left knee is stacked over left ankle. I wanna drive the sticks down 20%. I'm gonna do a posterior pelvic tilt. I'm gonna hold that position, and then I'm going to drive my right heel back, squeezing that glute. I'm gonna bend that knee back in, and now I'm gonna do an anterior tilt. Good. Posterior tilt. Drive that right heel back and down. Excellent. Bend that right knee. Now you go anterior tilt. Let's go again. Posterior tilt. Drive that right heel back. Ease off. Anterior tilt. Good. Let's go two more. Posterior tilt. Drive that right heel back. Squeeze that right glute. Bend that back knee. Anterior tilt. Let's go one more time, folks. Posterior tilt. Drive that heel back. Glute nice and active. Bend the knee. Anterior tilt. Back to center and ease off. We're going to switch sides. So the movement is small, so not really huge, but it does make a difference in how you're cueing into it. So right leg is forward, right foot is forward. Same thing, load that front leg here. Hands are in the same position. Make sure you're up nice and tall. Drive both sticks down, about 20% tension here. Posterior tilt. Drive that left heel back. Excellent. Bend that knee, and then anterior tilt. Excellent. Posterior tilt. Drive that left heel back. Bend the knee. Anterior tilt. Posterior tilt. Good. Drive the heel back. Excellent. Bend the knee. Anterior tilt. Excellent. Let's go two more here. Posterior tilt. Drive that heel down towards the floor. Extend that knee. Good. Bend the knee. Anterior tilt. Last one. Posterior tilt. Drive that heel down. Excellent. Bend the knee and anterior tilt. Back to center and ease off. Excellent. Now we're going to get into a hinge position, so we're only going to need one stick for this part here. Now for this, we're going to be adding a push-pull as we're in a hinge position. We're also going to be rotating, right? So for this, I want you to make sure that you pick a foot stance that's going to be most comfortable for you, that allows you to keep the most control possible. So if your stance needs to be a little bit wider, that's okay. But I'd say a good rule of thumb for this is to start off at roughly about shoulder width. And I'll actually turn to the side for this one to start off with. Now my toes are pointed forward, feet are about shoulder width here. I'm gonna have the stick, grip the stick so it's right outside my hips. Right, so almost a little wider than shoulder width here. So from here, I wanna have a slight bend to the knees, and then I'm going to hinge back as if it's a deadlift. And I wanna get down as far as I comfortably can, maintaining a nice, good neutral spine. From here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull the stick apart, and I'm gripping towards the middle of the stick, by the way. I'm not gripping towards one way or another. I'm gonna rotate to my right. One end of the stick is gonna touch the floor, right? Keep your hips facing square down towards the floor, and I'm gonna create tension. So almost like you're trying to create a bow and a stick. Still pulling the stick apart. Excellent. Now I'm gonna compress on the stick. Ease off, come back to center. and relax. Stay in position, don't move. Let's go again. So pull apart, about 20-30%, rotate to your right, pulling with that right arm. Excellent. Create tension. Breathe. Compress on the stick. Excellent. Rotate back to center. And ease off. I'm going to move the stick. I'm going to grab more towards the right of the stick here. We're going to do that again. Pull the stick apart. Rotate to the right. So now you're not going to get as much rotation, still pulling the stick apart. Create tension. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Compress on the stick, still creating tension, creating a bow on the stick. Excellent. Come back to center and ease off. Stand back up. Take a second. Now we're going to switch sides here. So we're going to go back to the middle. I'm going to face forward for this part. Feet are still set up in that same position. Hands are still in the same position as well. I want to hinge back. Slight bend to the knee. Excellent. Now from here, same thing. Pull the stick apart, 20-30%. Rotate to the left. Once you get there, create that tension. Still pulling the stick apart. You're going to feel that upper back get real active here. Compress the stick. Back to center. And ease off. Pull the stick apart. Rotate to the left. Create tension. Still pulling apart here. Compress on the stick. Excellent. Come back to center. And ease off. Grab more towards the left side. We're going to do that same thing one more time here. Hinge. Good. Pull the stick apart. Rotate to the left. Pull apart. Create tension. Breathe. Compress on the stick. Try to shorten it. Come back to neutral. Excellent. Ease off. Stand up and relax. Perfect. I'm going to move the camera angle just a bit. We are going to get into a Dunphy squat. Now again, this is just going to be for warm-up, so we're not going to generate a ton of tension here. The objective is to actually change our stance, our foot stance, as we actually go through this. So we'll start off with a closer stance, move to more of a normal neutral stance, and then we'll go to a wider stance. We're just trying to really open the hips up. So we're going to spend a little bit of time in a squat. So let's do it. So I'm going to have the stick pressing up into the squat rack here. You want to make sure that the stick stays in front. You don't want the stick going to the side. You don't want your head going to the side. Everything needs to stay directly in center line here. I'm going to have my hands at about roughly belly button to waist height. Kind of depends on your proportions, your anatomical structure, but you can move your hands as you need to. So I'm going to have my hands about roughly belly button to waist height here, and I'm actually going to have my feet start off a little closer. So I'm going to be roughly about hip width. Toes are pointed forward here. I'm going to drive the stick up about 30% tension here. So you want to make sure that your entire foot is engaged. I'm going to slowly push myself down into the squat. Get as low as you comfortably can. Good. Come back up. Squeeze those glutes at the top and ease off. We're going to do that again. Then we're going to go with a wider stance. Drive the stick up, 30%. Nothing too significant. Remember, this is a warm-up. Slowly drive yourself down into the squat, keeping those elbows in. Entire foot pushing into the floor. Excellent. Come back up. Squeeze the glutes and ease off. Let's widen that stance out. So now Gonna go out a little bit of a wider stance, roughly about shoulder width. At this point, you can actually bring your foot angle or your toe angle out just a little bit. So you can open your toes up a bit. So now, feet are kind of going out a little bit. From here, same thing. 30%, drive the stick up. Slowly push yourself down. Keep your knees over midfoot. So you have to open your hips up a little bit. Good, go down, hold. Come up. Squeeze those glutes and ease off. Let's go two more. Oh, sorry, one more. I'm used to doing multiple reps here, like 3 or 4. Let's go again. Drive up 30%. Slowly push yourself down. Breathe. Come back up. Squeeze the glutes and ease off. One more time. Let's go wider. So wider than shoulder width here. So it should be a relatively wide stance. Doesn't need to be super wide. But again, it depends on your mobility. So stick is in center line here. You can still have that slight toe out angle, or if you have a toe forward angle, that's also going to depend on you as well, what's most comfortable. Same thing, drive the stick up 30%, push. Excellent, keep the knees over midfoot. Push yourself down to the squat, nice and slow. Keep it controlled. Come up. Squeeze those glutes and ease off. Excellent. Let's go one more time, folks. Drive the stick up. Push yourself down, nice and slow. Keep it controlled. Open those hips up. Excellent. Come back up. Squeeze and ease off. Perfect. Now that the hips and everything in the lower body's warmed up, let's get into the fun stuff. So I'm going to turn camera angle back here. So what we're going to do here, we're going to need the pad to kneel on. We're going to do a rotational split squat. This one's going to be fun. Well, maybe. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with my left leg forward first. Right knee's going to be down. Now, we're going to start from the floor so it's easier for us to get in position and hold that position here. Now, right knee's down, left leg is forward. I'm using the bottom of the squat rack. This acts as a corner of a wall here. I'm going to have the bottom of the stick into the corner of the wall. The stick is on the outside of my left leg. Now, one thing I want you to remember is we're rotating towards that front leg. You have to keep that rotation. And what we're going to do is we're going to generate tension on the stick by driving out with that right arm. We're flexibly pulling back with that left arm. And we're going to be actively lunging the lower body. So as we do this, your front leg isn't necessarily going to lock out, but that back leg should. So you're going to feel that right glute fire. Pretty crazy. So my left hand's under the stick here, rotating towards my left leg, towards my front leg here, dorsiflexing that ankle. I'm going to create tension. So I'm driving that right shoulder out, reflexively pulling back with the left. Now I'm going to come up off the floor, straighten that right leg, adjust your position as you need to so you keep balance. Bring that right knee down, come back up again, 2, back down, up, 3, down, up, 4, down, up, 5, back down, and ease off. Excellent. Let's go and switch sides here. So we did that same thing. So adjust your position. You might have to widen out your stance. That's okay. So from here, right hand's on the end of the stick. I'm going to rotate to my right towards my front leg here. Dorsiflexing that back ankle. So same thing. Drive that left arm out. Reflexively pull back with the right. Good, lunge up. Straighten that back leg. 1, down, up. 2, down, up. 3, down, up. 4, one more time, down, up. 5, back down, and ease off. Excellent. Let's go back to the other side. Let's do one more each side. Go back to that left side here. Make sure that that front foot is nice and active. Should be actively gripping the ground here. Left hand's on the stick. Rotate across. Create that tension. Drive that right arm out. Left shoulder's pulling back. Come up. 1, down, up. 2, up. 3, up. 4, one more time, up. 5, back down, and ease off. Excellent. Switch sides one more time, folks. Doing good. So we're tensioning rotation, so we are getting that upper body involved, but isometrically, while working that lower body. So we're getting that spiral line still really, really active here. So from here, right arm out, rotate to the right, left hand on the stick. Same thing, drive that left arm out, pull the right shoulder back, up. 1, up. 2, up. 3, up. 4, make sure you're really extending that back leg, up. And 5, and ease off. Excellent, good. Now we're gonna get into a skater squat. For the skater squat, we are driving the stick to the right, but that outside leg's gonna be forward. So whatever side you're on, you're starting on the left or starting on the right, your outside leg is always going to be the leg that's grounded. The other leg's gonna be hovering. So for this, adjust your position as needed. You don't need to go super low, but you do want to make sure that stability-wise, you're keeping your knee over your midfoot. You don't want valgus collapse or the knee really going inwards. You want to try to keep it stacked over that ankle as best as you possibly can here. So I'm actually going to kick that forward. Now, where the stick is going to be, I'd say roughly about waist height, maybe a little bit lower. So I'm going to start here. I'm actually about roughly a foot back from the stick. And I'm going to have my hands about roughly shoulder width. I'm going to start with my left leg here. So from here, I'm going to hover that right leg. Make sure you're grabbing the ground with that left foot. I'm going to drive the stick into the wall. So reflexively, I have to push off my left leg, left hip into the wall here. So from here, now I'm going to slowly go down. And I'm going to curl in, back up. Good. It's 1, go down, right leg goes back. You are hinging into it, back up. 2, keep pushing into the wall, about 50%. Go down, up. 3, again. Up. 4. Up. 5. Let's go 3 more. Down. Up. 6. Up. 7. One more time. Keep pushing into the wall. Push, 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 push. Up. 8. And ease off. Let me see if I can actually make this work. Perfect. I can go from the side here. So now I'm going to go on my right leg forward. Left leg's going to be hovering. So stick's going to be set up in that same position. And remember, we're kind of curling the arms as we go down. Hands are at shoulder width. I'm going to be active on that right leg. Drive the stick into the wall here. Go down. Up. 1. Up. 2. Up. 3. Down. Up. 4. Up. 5. 3 more. Up. 6. Up. 7. One more time. Push to that entire foot. Up. 8. And ease off. So it's a real good way to work on that lateral hip. When you're driving towards or away from that outside leg, again, we're reflexively have to push off. So it's a really good way to kind of train that. We're going to take the second stick. Now we're going to get into hip abduction. Get this over to the front a little bit more. So for this, we're going to be actively making sure that we're rotating the hip as we're abducting that, abducting. So I'm going to start feet close together, and I actually want everybody to start off from an initially challenging position. So usually we'll have in and then incrementally move out. I want you to start at a challenging position here. So I'm going to start out pretty wide. The sticks are pretty much almost completely vertical. Arms are going to be straight out, gripping at shoulder height. Drive both sticks down 50%. I'm going to hover my right foot, keep an ankle dorsiflexed, and I'm going to bring my right foot to the right stick, and I'm going to push against the stick here. Now I want to do that without this happening. Push, keep driving. You want that right foot facing forward. Excellent. Bring the foot back in, place it down, ease off. Now this is where we add in that rotation from the hip. So drive both sticks down, hover the right foot, bring the right foot to the right stick, push, excellent. Now you're gonna rotate the hip externally, so rotating the toe, or the knee more specifically, out, and then bring the hip back into neutral, rotate outwards again. So now as we rotate outwards, now we're pushing the foot going back. Bring it back forward, still driving out, abducting. One more time, rotate the foot outwards. Excellent. Bring the hip back in. Back in nice and slow, and ease off. Let's switch sides. Drive both sticks down. Hover the left. Bring that left foot to the left stick and push. Good. Drive. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Back in nice and slow, and ease off. Now let's get into the rotational part. Drive both sticks down, hover that left foot, bring it to the left stick, push, externally rotate that hip. Excellent, good. Bring it hip back forward, externally rotate, bring it back forward, keep driving that hip out, externally rotate, bring it back forward, hold, excellent, back in nice and slow, and relax. Excellent, good. All right, folks, let's get into the stretching, yeah? So we're gonna start off in a 90-90 position. We're gonna go to the floor here. I'm gonna start with my left hip forward. So I'm gonna be in this position here. So if it's more comfortable for you to pull this front foot in to get into a shin box, that's totally fine. It's really gonna depend on what doesn't cause pain, obviously, what's a comfortable position for you to get in. But if you're obviously pretty flexible, you can bring that front foot forward so it actually does make a 90-degree angle. Now, in truth, you don't really need this back leg to be in a 90-degree angle. We're not doing much with this back leg. This is all specifically more so for that front hip. So this is effectively very similar to a pigeon stretch. So I'm gonna have So my left leg is forward. I'm using my left hand to prop myself up. And I have the stick in my right hand in line with my left knee. What I'm gonna do from here is I want to drive that front leg down about roughly 20 to 30% tension. And I'm gonna drive the stick down with the same intensity, and I'm going to hinge forward. You're gonna feel a stretch in that left glute. Excellent, breathe. Going to come back up nice and slow and ease off. Now we're gonna add in rotation. So be in that same position, drive that front leg down, drive the stick into the floor. We're going to hinge forward. Now I'm gonna rotate the stick to the left. So now I'm creating more length on that posterior spiral line here. So now I'm getting that glute, I get that right lat involved. A little bit of a nice stretch here. Bring it back to center, come up and ease off. We're gonna do that same thing again. Drive the front hip down, drive the stick into the floor, hinge, rotate to your left so that right arm comes across. 3, 2, 1, back forward, come up and ease off. Excellent, good. So now we're gonna switch sides. Right leg comes forward, and you'll notice one side's gonna be a little tighter than the other. That's okay, so if you got one hip or glute, specifically when it comes to external rotation, that's tighter than the other, definitely wanna work on that. That is going to restrict or alter quite a bit of lower body movements here. So stick is in the same position, right hand is propped up. Drive that front hip down, drive the stick down with the left hand, and hinge forward. You almost want to get your belly button down to your front leg. Breathe. Excellent, come back up. Ease off. We're going to do that again. We're adding in our rotation. Now we're rotating the stick over to the right. Drive that front hip down. Hinge forward. Rotate to the right. Get that left lat. Excellent. Bring the stick back forward. Come back up. And ease off. All right, let's go one more time. Drive that front hip down, stick into the floor, hinge. Excellent. Rotate the stick to the right. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Come back forward. Excellent. Come up and relax. Perfect. We're going to get into a rotation. So we're going to do the open book stretch, or open book rotation. We've done this drill before. I'm actually going to go here. This is where we take both sticks, folks. So you want to use this as if it's a corner of a wall. So I'm using a squat rack here. Now for this one, you want to make sure that that bottom leg is on top of the stick. It's important. Otherwise, the stick's just going to go everywhere. It's not going to be pinned down the way it's supposed to. I'm going to take my top leg and I'm going to bring my knee up towards my chest and I'm going to get it under the stick here. Now from this position, left hand's going to be on the stick and I'm going to create tension by pulling the stick going down toward the floor. We're trapping that low back here. This right stick is roughly about in line with my hip. Doesn't have to be. Now from here, pulling this left hand down, I'm going to open up and rotate to my right. Breathe. Make sure you get a nice good deep breath. Come back up. Let's go 3 more rotations. Open up to the right. The objective is to try to get your right shoulder to the floor, not your hand. Come back up. Let's go 2 more. Open up. Keep pulling that left stick down. Do not let off that tension. Back up. Let's go 1 more time. Open up to the right. Breathe. Slowly come back up. Ease off. Switch sides. So I'm going to turn around here. We're going to do that same thing. Bottom foot's on the top of the stick. Top leg is under a little bit under the stick. Pull down with that right hand. Excellent. Open up and rotate to the left. Breathe. Come back up. Let's go 3 more. Rotate to the left. So the good thing about this drill is you can actively see what side is your weaker side when it comes to rotation. Come back up. So for me, my rotation to my left side is actually not as strong. So this actually allows you, puts you in a position where you can work on that rotation safely. Excellent. Come back up. Let's go 1 more time, folks. Open up and rotate to the left. Remember, we're trying to get that shoulder to the floor. Breathe. Slowly come up and out. And relax. Excellent. Now, we're going to need the pad. We're going to go into a single arm hang here. So it's very, very similar to a monkey hang. Only difference is we got one knee actually on the floor now. I'm going to start with my left knee down first. Right leg's going to be forward. Now, when it comes to this particular drill, we're making sure that the hips are always going down towards the bottom of the stick. So even if the stick is starting off closer, the hips are still going down towards the bottom of the stick. If the stick's out further, we're still going down towards the bottom of the stick. We're trying to elongate or get as much of a stretch in those lateral tissues as we possibly can. So you can always incrementally move the stick out if you need to, or if you want to get a better stretch. So always be aware of that. I'm gonna start with the stick relatively far out, not too far. I'm gonna have my left hand up nice and high. The bottom of the stick is in line with the mid thigh of my front leg here. Keeping my left hand up nice and high. I'm gonna take my right hand, place it on the stick for added support. Now from here, I'm already in a position where I'm kind of laterally flexing into it, right? Now I'm just gonna further increase that by dropping that hip going down towards the bottom of the stick. So from here, I'm gonna shift my left hip going downwards here. Get a stretch in the lat, all the way down into the hip. You're gonna hit those obliques as well. Now I'm gonna rotate to my right. Now I'm gonna load that stretch even more. Come back to center, then come up, ease off. We're gonna do that again. So the good thing about this stretch is you actually can really open up those tissues. If your obliques are feeling super tight, this is actually one of the really good stretch for your obliques and your QL. Let's go into it again. Hands up, drop that hip going down. Breathe. If it's too intense of a stretch, don't be afraid to back off. Rotate to the right. Rotate back forward and ease off. Excellent. One more time. One more time. You're doing good. Right hand's on the stick. Drop that hip going down towards the bottom. Get a good hang here. Rotate to the right. Back forward and ease off. Take a second. We're going to switch sides. So with this particular stretch, when you're trying to increase the stretch, you're always rotating your torso towards the leg that's forward. Right hand's up, stick's angled out, left hand on the stick. Drop that hip going down. Rotate to the left. Back to center. Come up. Ease off. Let's do that again. Hand up. Drop that hip down. Rotate to your left. Rotate back forward. Ease off. Excellent. Let's go one more time, folks. Drop the hip down. Perfect. Rotate to your left. Back forward and ease off. Excellent. We're going to do one last stretch here. We're going to do a standing straddle stretch. So let's stretch out those hammies and those adductors. We're going to need 2 sticks for this. Realistically, you can do this with 1 stick, but we're going to use 2 sticks for this one here. You're going to take a stance as wide as whatever's comfortable for you. Now, as we get into this, you do want to make sure, or do want to emphasize, you want your feet pointed forward as much as you can possibly handle. So if you can, you want to get them forward here, as if we're doing a straddle stretch on the floor. If you need to angle them out a bit, that's fine. It's not going to change it that much. I'm going to have my feet pointed forward here, sticks. Bottom of the sticks are angled out far in front. The sticks are actually on my chest here. What I'm going to do is I want to have my hands on the top of the sticks here. I want to have a soft bend to my knees, and I'm going to hinge my hips back, sliding my hands going down towards the bottom of the sticks. I want to breathe. So you're going to get a nice big stretch in the hamstrings, and you're going to get a nice little stretch in the adductors. Excellent. I'm going to come back up nice and slow. Squeeze those glutes. Excellent. Ease off. I'm actually going to bring my feet out a little wider so you can wiggle them out a little wider if you feel so inclined. Hands are still on the top of the sticks here. We're going to have, again, that soft bend to the knees and drive those hips going back. Reaching down towards the bottom of the sticks. Now from this position, I'm going to drive my hands down towards the floor. I'm going to get quite a bit of extension. So now I'm going to activate those extensors in my mid and upper back. I'm going to shift my hips forward, and then I'm going to shift my hips back, tensioning into that stretch even more. Shift the hips forward, and then shift back again. So driving your hands going down towards the floor. Shift forward, back. Make sure you're breathing here. Let's go 2 more. Shift forward, back. Breathe. One more time. Shift forward and shift back. Excellent. Ease off tension. Walk your hands up. Come up out of it nice and slow. Wiggle your feet in. Nice and easy. And that, my friends, concludes today's Sick Mobility class. Thank you for joining me today, everybody. Hope everybody had a good class. And hope everybody's having a safe Saturday. As usual, have a good one. And I will catch you all next weekend.